Good morning. I'm Judith Murphy, the membership chair, and today we would like to honor our members. We're going to start by honoring our new members in the covenantal way of our church. We welcome these new members who've joined since the beginning of the year. There are about 16, and I would like to ask those who are here to please come up front. I'm not going to read their names. We'll allow them to introduce themselves.
So our church has grown a fair amount in the last couple of years, and I just think it's wonderful for you guys to have an opportunity to put a face to a name. And so we're going to, instead of us reading the names, you're going to have the opportunity to introduce yourself, and then you'll receive a rose after you introduce yourself to the congregation.
Morning. My name is Steve Tilden, and I'm really proud to be here. I finally signed the book. I started coming in the 70s.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Carnahan. My partner Julie and I moved here from Wisconsin last year, where we were members of the UU Church here, and we're so thrilled to be here with you all too.
Julia Van Daren.
Charlie Kennedy, this is our second tour of duty.
Yeah, I'm Diane Kennedy. We signed the membership book the first time in 1981.
Bob Rahill. We've been coming to the church for a little over a year after moving from Massachusetts about four and a half years ago. So.
And I'm Annie Rahill.
Marianne Matthews. I moved here from Evansville a couple years ago, and I'd like to thank you all for your hospitality because you've been very kind.
Leslie Stevens, and we joined on April 5th of this year.
Ben Stevens, a lifelong Unitarian, but I just found out I was.
I'm Rachel Bain, and my partner Red Fox and I have been coming for over a year, almost two, especially for the youth programs for our daughters.
Red Fox Ralph.
Brad Jacobs. I've been coming here for off and on for 3 years and finally joined.
I'm Greg McMullen, and I joined with my partner Brad.
And we're going to do something a little new this year. We're going to do a little responsive reading around our covenant with our new members. And so, can we share a couple copies? Can you guys look on with one another? Does everyone here? Yeah. Everyone here have someone to look on with at least? Okay. If you know how to read English, you'll know which parts you are to read. Today, we formally welcome you, new members, into the covenant of love and service that binds us together.
Will you join us in our covenant to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another? I will.
Congregation of All Souls, as your community welcomes these new members, do you today reaffirm your commitment to the covenant of love and service that binds us all together?
We do.
Will you strive to dwell with these new members in peace, support their search for truth and love, and to help them?
We will.
And when we falter or fail?
When we falter or fail in our covenant, and we will seek forgiveness. We know the love that binds us is large enough to hold our failures and our differences.
Your presence adds significantly to this love. Welcome. I invite you to join me in saying, we welcome you.
We welcome you.
And now let us recite our covenant together. Please rise and body your spirit. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Turn and greet one another.
Hello, I'm Leslie Stevens, and I've been asked to say a few words why my family and I joined All Souls. Last year, I decided that my beliefs no longer matched that of a traditional Christian church because I do not think people are wrong for having different beliefs, and I feel everyone, no matter their lifestyle choices, should be treated equally. I had several conversations with my husband about feeling what I had been told for so long was wrong, and I also feared my beliefs did not fit in anywhere. One day, Ben texted me and said he may have found what I was looking for. Apparently, he did a Google search about what I was looking for in a church, and up popped All Souls. He told me to look into the All Souls website and the Unitarian faith, and after looking through both websites, I remember thinking, this can't be real. This is exactly what I've been looking for. We came the first Sunday in January, and we were greeted by many kind people. The service was honoring different people, and one group being honored were those who chose to move on from the church. Their names were read aloud, and everyone applauded their decision to move on. Who does that? Ben and I were amazed by the support everyone showed one another. Another reaffirming moment that led us to know we made the right decision was the teen service. We were blown away by how committed the youth are in this church to making the world a better place. Ben and I joined on April 5th because we feel All Souls truly lives by their principles. It is one thing for a church to say they love one another, but it is a whole different thing to show they love one another. All Souls is a very special place. We are thankful to have made many new friends and look forward to making many more. I look forward to growing spiritually and widening my views in this open, loving community. Thank you.
Put it on. One of my favorite things about Unitarian Universalism is that we honor questions even more than answers, and we live into the spirit of wonder and mystery in our world. And we do this frequently through our wonder box. We get to pull it out, shake it, and say, I wonder what's inside today. Is there someone young in age as well? Oh, all right, Teddy, come on up. You all remember Teddy's $1 million smile from last week, right? Yeah. All right, can you open it up and pull out what's inside? What is it? A connection card. How wonderful. Thank you so much, Teddy. How great. How great. So today you'll see that we've been celebrating our covenant. We are a faith community that's united not by creed, not by asking its members to espouse a certain set of beliefs, but rather by covenant, rather by the promises that we make to ourselves and to each other about the type of people we want to be. In the little responsive reading we just did with our new members, we said we strive to live into our covenant, and we know sometimes we'll fail. And we know that. We know that. But the important thing is that we make these promises not only to ourselves but to others, so that way when we do fail, there's a community to call us back into our best selves and into those promises. The promises that we make in our covenant are simple and perhaps easily understood, but sometimes difficult to live into. Love is the spirit of this church. that says that when we go about our lives, moment to moment and day by day, that we will seek to have love in our heart in all its forms. Not anger, and not mistrust, and not fear, and not judgment, but love in our heart. Who here doesn't fail at that sometimes? Who here needs to remember that they make a promise to keep that as the vision for ourselves, and to have a community that helps us grow the love in our heart? We promise to do service, to help the world live into a vision of a place of more love and connection with one another, to dwell together in peace, to seek understanding, to seek reconciliation and harmony with one another, to seek the truth in love, to be guided by the love in our hearts and the love that surrounds us, and to identify those truths that arise from that place of love and commitment to one another, and to help one another. There are so many ways, small ways and big ways, that we offer help to one another. Sometimes we help someone move apartments. Sometimes we give each other a phone call. Sometimes we share a little bit of our own story that says, hey, here's how I've learned to navigate my life, or I've learned to discover a little bit more love in my life. This is the covenant that we make with one another. It's a promise that we make to ourselves and to each other about how we will live in this world. And it's a covenant that we need to return to again and again. And part about what coming to the Sunday service is, it's time to be reminded of our covenant and our promises, and to discover new ways to learn how to practice our covenant. And our connection card is one of these new ways that we are trying to give people an opportunity to connect and to promise. Connect and to grow and discover new practices. So you'll see on this connection card, and we're introducing it to you today, and then it's going to reappear on July 12th, and we're going to pilot it for a few months and to see how it goes. And you'll see that there's two sides. One side says connection card, and it's all about your name and your address, and it says, are you a first-time guest, a second-time guest, a regular attender, and a member, and how did you hear about All Souls? So if you're Leslie, you'll say Google, and that'll be useful information to us. This might seem obvious to you, but I cannot tell you how many times I've called someone and the number's been out of date, or someone who's kind of regularly attended comes up to me and says, I really need to talk to you, or leaves me a voicemail and saying, hey, can we meet this week? And I don't have their number, right? If you are someone who hasn't moved or changed numbers in 25 years and you know we have it right, fill it out anyway, because your example will encourage other people to fill out this card, and we need to give time and set an example for everyone. And then the second side, I think, is as interesting, or perhaps even a more interesting side. And you'll see that there's kind of three parts to it. The My Step Today is to, and this is really for everyone. We're going to strive every time we have a connection card to give you some next steps of how to live out our covenant that's in relationship to that day's service. So this day's service is all about celebrating our membership and the thousands of people who have joined our church and the enthusiasm we have for bringing new souls into our community. So you'll see a lot about it is about living out our covenant in one way or another, or growing our membership. So you'll have some time later to think about which one of these next steps might be right for you. You'll also have send me more information about. Some of you don't know, for instance, that there's a young adult group, or you don't know how to find out more information about community engagement or things like that. So if you check one of those boxes, you'll get some more information and more opportunities to figure out how you want to connect. And then, of course, there's this open section where you could write in about a joy or concern, a life transition, or another comment you have. We really encourage you. You might feel like you're in a good place and that you're getting all the information you need, or that you could come up with your own examples of next steps. And you don't have to always choose a next step if you don't feel like those steps don't appeal to you. But by doing this, we start to journey along a path together. And we think in particular that visitors will come to our church and understand that this is a way that we're in communication with one another. So every week, we will ask every person to fill out one of these cards. It's just a couple minutes, but it's one of the ways that we grow our community together. So I invite you, please, to do this. Will you help us grow our church together? Yes. All right. Let's try that one more time. Will you help us grow our church together? Yes. All right. Will you help us grow our church together? Yes. All right. Thank you, guys.
Also, in addition to honoring our new members, we want to honor our longtime members. And we're going to start out with those who have been with us 10 years. And if you're here as I read your name, I'll ask you to come forward. Indra Frank, Ann Brackett, Peggy Paulson, Ariel Downing, and Evelyn Calhoun. Evelyn Calhoun is, I think, in poor health at Westminster Village. So
Indra, we welcome you. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to know Indra, but she is a marvelous member of our community. She has served on the board as the secretary. She has helped initiate and grow the beautiful butterfly garden that we see through our atrium windows. She serves with our preschoolers on Sunday mornings. We asked her to come and be part of today, and she said, "Oh, but what about the little ones?" And I said, "Just this once," you know. So for all the ways that you've been part of our community, helping us understand our values, will you join me in saying, we welcome you? We welcome you.
Reverend Anastasia asked me to say a few words on behalf of the 10-year class. And I would start by seconding everything that Leslie already said. Although I came by a different path. I was raised Unitarian in New Mexico. And then when I was living in Seattle, I met my husband through a Unitarian church. So when we settled here, it wasn't long, in 2001, it wasn't long before I was on the internet searching for what my nearest Unitarian church would be. I don't live far away, so I came to All Souls. And it's been a wonderful fit. In a church, what I look for is inspiration and community, and I've found both here in abundance. It has been very much my privilege to be a member of this community. It has been my privilege to get to serve on the board with a group of wonderful people. My privilege to be a member of the Goddess group, another group of wonderful people, and I feel like it's very much a privilege to get to work on the butterfly garden that Karen Downing designed for us. As well as now that my kids are grown, I have the privilege of getting to spend time with the little ones that are members of this congregation. So thank you all very much.
And now I would like to introduce our 25-year members and ask them to come up if they are here. Sherilyn Salvo, Sandy Ryberg, Jim Scramenti, and you'll notice in the program somebody you may not recognize, Betty Benson. That's actually Betty Scramenti, so we'll have her come up too.
It's always great to have an AKA. You guys could come up too. This is quite a 25-year class, I have to say. It's 100% solid is the way I like to think about it. Sherilyn, you were raised in this congregation? Yes, you were raised in this congregation. What's amazing is that we have 3 generations of her family here. Her parents and her daughters are here. Her children are here, which is just amazing. You might appreciate how her and her husband, Christopher, made the delicious pancakes for the pancake breakfast, right? If there's ever someone to love on, it's her family, right? Thank you so much for being part of our community for over 25 years, unless, I have to say, if you're only 25, you don't look so great. Betty, you have inspired us and led us. I cannot express how fully having your participation in our Selma trip meant to everyone who went. Betty, you might have seen Betty as Betty Benson on our local news channel. They interviewed her as one of the few people from Indianapolis who participated in the original civil rights movement in Selma, and so they really honored her. Our entire city honored her participation through that broadcast. And Jim Scrimenti, there's a lot we could say about the Scrimentis generally, but someone who's really carried our partner church program and the relationship we have with our sister church in Transylvania. You have built those connections, helped us discover those connections, and helped sustain them in numerous ways. So thank you. Will you guys join me in saying we welcome you? We welcome you.
Okay, wow, 25 years. I don't know what to say about that, but it's been 25 years since I signed the membership book. I've been attending the church, though, since I was 7 or 8 years old. Every now and then, I look in the 2s and 3s room and see all the things I used to play with, and it brings back a lot of memories and makes me feel like I'm at home away from home. I have had the honor of having my wedding right here in this very sanctuary, and my 2 incredible girls have been dedicated here, and they have just absolutely loved everything here, probably the pancakes more than anything. I've been through the good and the bad here, and I've seen many members come and go, and I've seen the church grow and evolve over the years. But I hope I speak for all of the 25-year members when I say the strongest attribute about this church is unconditional acceptance, and the roots have never changed, even with all that has changed around it. In college, when everybody is trying to figure everything out, yeah, that was me, I went through discovering different religions. I even tried converting to Catholicism, but chose to come back to Unitarianism after asking, if I married someone that's not Catholic, would I have to raise my kids Catholic? Well, they said yes. At that moment, I decided I didn't want to force my children into something they didn't have a say-so in. So I chose to stay with the Unitarian Church, and I have not ever regretted it. I went to the Muncie Unitarian Church off and on when I was in college at Ball State, and though the congregation was very welcoming to me, it just didn't feel like home there. At that point, I realized that I was looking for the same as I have at All Souls and have stayed here ever since. I have had a lot of chaos and heartache in my life, but no matter what, I have always felt a sense of comfort when I'm here. Even when I'm not at church on some Sundays, I am thinking about what I have here, and it brings me a sense of peace. That and my incredibly supportive family is what has given me the strength to persevere through many obstacles I've faced in my life. For that, I thank all of you, wonderful friends, memories, and the strength and the unconditional love I've received and will continue to receive here at All Souls. And may you, too, always find peace here. Thank you.
You'll notice in your order of service, we have a long list of people who have been here up to 50 years, but we have one special member whom we are honoring today as the 2015 50-year member, and that is Julian Coleman. We'd love to have you come up, Julian. shall I read the
And they could
I will
stand.
read the other names of people here, our 50-year members, and we ask you to stand or raise your hand so we can recognize you if you're here. Robert Arnold, Irene Baird, Charles Baldwin, James Baldwin, Mary Branson, Norma Cummings, Ruby Davis, Mary Emily Davison, Virginia DeForno, Alberta Dieter, Clark Hendricks, Dorothy Huffman, William Lawrence, Sharon Merriman, Loretta Maud Messang, James Meyer, Mary Meyer, Jo Ellen Miller, Ina Molman, Robert Olson, Jane Perry, Ralph Pfeiffer, Suzanne Pittenger, Lynn Ramey, Jean Thompson, Ione Thompson, Doris Vaughn, James Weir, David Williams, and Patricia Lingling. So we honor all of you.
Julian, we are so excited to recognize your 50 years of membership today. If you don't know Julian, or if you know him at all, rather, he is an educator at heart, not only out in our city, but also here. There have been some of you guys who used to take RE classes with him who are now adults and could testify to the love and nurturance that he offered, and for all that you have done for our community. Will you join me in saying, we welcome you?
Well, first of all, this has been quite a week for me because I wear with pride this badge of 50 years of membership here in the church. And on Wednesday, I turned 86. And later this summer, my wife is sitting between two 50-year people. My wife, Bobby, and I will be celebrating 62 years of marriage. Well, I was asked, well, why did you become a Unitarian? Well, I started my teaching career in Indianapolis at Shortreach High School. And at Shortreach High School, there were some students, and last week kind of reminded me of those days. These students were special students with values and ideas, and I said, well, I really admired them. And from that, I started coming to the Unitarian Church. Also, Wilhelm French and Phil Hirsch. Phil was on the staff also at Shortreach High School, and he broke my arm until I kept bending it until I came to the church. And so I did, and as soon as I walked in and I read this, I said, that's what I believe. And through my life, I've tried to maintain these values and principles, and I hope I've done that. I see Charlie Baldwin back there. Charlie and I worked with the ushers for many, many years, and then he handed it over to me, I think. And one thing Indra did, she was an usher many, many times. Whenever I'd ask her to usher, she would do so. And the Scramentes, they ushered many, many times when they were asked to do so. Also, as I continued in the church, I found that some of these students that I had at Shortreach, their parents were here, and they influenced me. And Sandy Ryberger, who is recognized as a 25-year member, was a student at Shortreach, and the parent and the Mary Branson out there, her daughters were at Shortreach, and so that was another reason why I was very impressed with the Unitarian Church. And also, as we progressed in the church, my wife and I belonged to the small groups, and we found those very stimulating. And then we met the DeFornos, and Renee and Jenny's out there, but Renee we really, really enjoyed, and he was a historian, and he made history. So he's someone that I really admired that was a part of the church. These are some of the, and has been mentioned, both of us for a while taught in the RE program, and we enjoyed that. So I hope I've been over some of the reasons why I've been a Unitarian and why I wear this with great pride. And so thank you again, and I'll still be around.
Thank you, Julian.